Kosamayo.
Dude, what's up?
Not much, man. It was good. Good to post some of the clips, man. Like that was dope. Like the clip situation is amazing. Like I got so much stuff. I'm using it for stories, and I'm just throwing it everywhere. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, man, that's the way. Yeah, I thought it was great how easy it was, and like the fact that it rates the thing and everything. That's what I've been looking for. To be honest, was just something I knew it was going to come up. But it's good timing for us. Like this did not exist a year ago, obviously. So
I agree, and I know you don't like the statistics or whatever. We don't talk about them often, whatever. But
we can talk about them, dude. I don't care.
Every freaking post since we changed the format has been getting over 700 views. So there's that.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Another thing I noticed is like the one that I saw we posted about, like I said something about like Andrew Huberman, like right at the beginning. That one got more attention, I think. So it's kind of funny, like. The more that we're just talking about shit that we're interacting with, like, I guess that's a good thing. I guess people, that's fine. We'll just play off of famous names. What if we just started saying famous names and just we're like, we just throw in a random like Michael Jackson. Yeah. So anyway, my resolutions for this year are so dumb.
Maybe we should do that to have it start at that part in the clip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the hell you been up to though, man? Like, what's going on? What's the haps on the streets?
Okay, so I'm full-fledged in the dude. I got a lot to catch you up on. Actually, I am at a point in my life now where personally. I've done a lot of development and I've recognized some things and self-worth and yada, yada, yada. And what I've discovered is that I have a pathway for my career that I'm looking to make happen. I'm looking to transition what I'm doing now into something else, the paid thing.
Okay.
So like, dude, I worked all weekend. I was like on it, working, trying to basically like the thing I'm trying to do is become a creative director. Okay. So like, I've been working in a creative capacity on the team for a long time as the video production guy, the doer of the creative, the artists. Right. Someone comes to me with a job, I do it. Or like in the last couple of years, I've been leading teams doing that. So doing more of the planning and things. But like right now I'm working on a project where it's like, I'm in charge of all of the creative and I'm not doing any of the technical stuff because of various reasons. But anyway, I was like, wait a second, like, dude, I want to do this. And this all came off of a conversation with Stella, which, and maybe I'll rephrase that. This all came from a conversation with my partner a few days ago, which was a difficult conversation.
Okay.
Essentially, I am being challenged right now in my life to assert myself more, to be like, okay, this is who I am. This is the value I bring. And that's that. And like, acting upon that more. And like, it was a tough one to hear and feel because I thought I was doing everything I could, but I wasn't. And so, bro, like I've just been over here, like talking to people. I told my manager about this. She was like, well, there's no space in the company for that right now. No money for it. I'm like, fine. All right. I'll make a pitch. Like I will express this and put it out there to the universe, to people on LinkedIn, whatever. So like, I'm trying to do that for several reasons. One, it's higher pay and I'm getting paid. I'd be getting paid for what I've been doing already.
Right.
Two, it allows me to practice for what we're doing because like you and I, we have this production company, Lovely Cast. And like you are business minded. You have the like organizational skills, people skills, like as we grow this thing, whatever that turns into, I feel like it's good for me to get more direct practice doing like creative direction stuff.
Definitely.
Like merging, like taking one and bridging it to the other, like the technical, creative, and the other stuff. And then finally, it's just like the thing I'm interested in. Like I really like what I'm doing right now on this project. So it's been like a whirlwind of like, it's just like GPT conversations, bro. I drove out to Wendover and like talked to AI about this for like an hour.
Wow.
Like, and totally fleshed out a whole plan. So that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, I like that idea, man. I like the idea of, it's like, you know what? This is like when the actor becomes a producer. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you've been doing the thing, playing the role, capturing the stuff, but now you get to like you're getting to decide how it happens and what the vision is
Yeah.
and what the outlook will be at the end of the
Hell yeah.
project. So it makes sense. It's a natural progression. You know what I mean?
So you
I think
you
that's
think
dope.
you think that sort of thing, you know, I mean, like based on what you know about creative direction or whatever, you
Yeah.
think that fits? You think that like I fit that that mold or whatever?
Yeah, dude, you have like I think full transparency, your hardest shit is gonna be trying to drill down which direction you want to go in. Because you'll have the ideas. you'll you'll have
Yeah.
a multitude of ideas. I think the
Mhm.
hardest thing will try to be like, okay, where do we want to go with this? Like which scene do we, like that,
Yeah.
what do we want to paint the picture for the audience or the end user? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
think
like
you could totally
making
do
the
that,
choice.
bro. 100%.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thanks, man. You know, it's funny. That's one of the things I realized with this project I'm doing. Like, I was put in as a creative director on this project, which in this case
Uh-huh.
was project management, but it was also like fully figuring out the vision for what we're doing for like
Yeah.
5 videos. And I've leaned into it to a point, but then I realized I need to take it one step further. And that
Yeah.
was simply saying, not should we do this? It was we are doing this. Like
Right.
whatever the choices were. And my team, as soon as the other day, as soon as I locked into this, they were all like, "Ah, okay, cool." Like they were stressed out because we have a lot to do in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be directing this and making these choices. And you are gonna do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And like it's based on what I know about you and how we work together. And they're all like, dope, dope,
Yeah,
dope.
it makes sense. It makes sense. It's like that everybody is. There was this thing that we used to say in the church all the time, right? Like the pastor would say this, he or
Mm,
she, and it was a reason. It was a reason behind it. It was this quote that was like everybody, um, can't be the head, right? But it's like
yeah,
the legs and the arms and the feet and everything are still important for the body. So I would
yeah.
just always remember that, like everybody's like part is important, and it's it goes into the big equation of getting this thing done. Like it doesn't
Yes.
operate without you guys. So it's all relative. You know what I mean?
Totally, bro. Here's the thing. I saw it put this way. It's interesting you say that
Yeah.
in that way. Like I saw it put this way today. It was like it's a tree. Like an organization or a creative team is a tree,
Right.
and you got like branches, you got the trunk, you got the roots, you got the base. All these things. If they're not interconnected, you have a bunch of sticks. But
Yep.
like if you have somebody who sees the tree in its entirety,
Yeah.
then you're good. And that's what I'm trying to go for. But the
Yeah.
thing that the reason why I was able to make that choice and be like, this is what we're doing. And the reason why the team was able to be like, okay, they were looking for that was because I finally realized, dude, that my value is not like it's like not something that other people dictate. Like
Okay.
I
Yes.
dictate my value.
Yes.
That's a central principle to this, bro. I
Mhm.
dictate that. And when I do, guess what has happened so far? No
Yeah.
one questions it. No one.
Yep.
They're just
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Because I understand myself and I understand the context I'm in. And
Yeah.
like to me, that's the point, not just with this job, but like anywhere, like any person.
Yeah.
Like whatever context you find yourself in, I'm a big believer that you have a belonging there. And when you can find it and you speak to it, it's like your world realizes it too, but you have to do it first.
Yeah.
You know?
It
Have you
makes me
seen that?
Yes, absolutely. It makes me wonder why, as humans, we're always looking for external validation when really what we need to do is
Yeah.
validate ourselves and our thoughts first, right? Because
Yes.
it doesn't matter that I'm constantly looking for it for you. It's like they say the quarter that you find on the ground is more valuable than the one you have in your pocket, right? Like
Yeah.
you need to find that quarter first
Uh-huh.
before you are even concerned about anything else. That is going to lead you to grow and to challenge yourself and be able to challenge the people around you to grow and stretch outside of their comfort zone. You need
Totally.
that first so you can push. Have you ever like come across a leader who is uncertain? Like it's not great.
It's not good, dude. It's like they're actually the weakest point in that case. And like it can be uncertain or insecure. I've had both.
Yeah.
And like when they're insecure, it causes a lot of strife and stuff because they're like insular and they're not realizing the effect they're having on their team and
Yeah.
therefore it's inefficient or people leave or whatever.
I
But
agree.
uncertain, dude, like that's the thing. I feel like I'm shedding off uncertainty at this point where I'm
Okay.
like, all right, I was living in uncertainty for a long time, going with the flow for a long time, and that's great. But that's not great for me anymore. Like
Yeah.
I have a partner who's trying to do some stuff with her life and I have the opportunity here to make some more money, to be doing something that is actually more flexible than what I'm
Mhm.
doing. And like, I got to take it now. Like, now's the time to be like, I'm stepping into this.
Yes.
And whether my current employer wants me to do that or not is irrelevant. Like,
Yeah.
the point is like, there's a certain degree of agency that needs to be taken up in life.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with the external validation, I mean, speaking for myself, is like, I didn't know I could give myself that validation. That's it, dude. Like, I didn't know
Mhm.
that I could tell myself, yeah, that's you, man. Like, look at all the things. Look at all the things. You're already doing it. That's the funny
Yeah.
part. Like, when it gets to that point where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I see it now. You've been doing it. It's
Yeah.
like, at least for me, that's how it was. And like, not knowing that you can do that, that's super interesting to me.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't actually think it's natural to the human experience.
It's not.
I think part of that, honestly, bro, is the culture we live in. I think it's a part of capitalist consumer culture.
It
Because
is.
look, when they want you to buy something, they're telling you that you're in lack. They're saying, you don't have this thing and you got to go buy it. And if you don't, you're
True.
not going to be as cool as the Joneses. And so if you're not cool like the Joneses, then you're a failure. You
It's
have no
true.
value in society.
Yeah, it's true. Like you said, they sell you on the things that you think you want. You
Yeah.
want a new phone, they sell you on the upgraded features. Really, the features are
Mhm.
already there. Most people just don't even know how to get to the damn features that they already
Dude,
have on their current phone. It's
bro,
ridiculous.
yes. And you know what? This is a great segue to something else I wanted to talk to you
Mm,
about. For the first time, I experienced hypnotherapy on Sunday.
okay. Nice.
And dude, I'm just going to say right from the start, anybody, anybody can do this, and everybody should try it.
Okay,
At
I'm
least
interested.
try it. Because, bro, here's the thing. Here's how it fits in. Here's how it fits in with what you just said.
Okay.
Imagine the human experience, the brain, the body, all of that, as the phone. And the phone has these features that you don't know about
Yes.
because it's a new phone. It has all these things. It's highly advanced. Someone has to show you that. Someone has to train you on that. That's the same thing with our bodies. Dude, I experienced myself unconsciously raising my arm, putting it over to my face, and going like this. And then I experienced myself
Whoa.
unconsciously stand up, go and lay down, go into a deep, deep meditation, which I found out, dude, I've been doing this by myself. I've been self
What?
hypnotizing. Yeah, I didn't know. She was like, I was explaining my context and stuff.
Yeah.
And the person who was there guiding me, she was not a therapist in the traditional sense where she's
Okay.
prescribing things and saying,
Yeah.
you are this, you are this, you are this. She was just asking me questions and repeating back to me what I said.
Sick.
Active listening, right?
Hell yeah.
Bro, she put me in a meditation and I was trying to approach my night terrors. I was trying to understand, why is this happening? Why
Okay.
is this happening? And what that feature was that I didn't know about was that we figure these things out on our own. We have everything in us to understand this. Like, whatever
Yes.
our problem is, you don't need the validation. Like, you just need someone to tell you you can figure it out on your own.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's
It's crazy,
insane.
bro.
First of all, like, yes, you absolutely should be able to explore alternative methods of medicine because would it like back in the day, bro, this would have just been like a healer or a medicine or like somebody who that walked you through this journey. There wasn't
Yeah.
actually any assistance for people out there thinking, man, this shit is wild or this is crazy. You know what? Might just be, but if it works for you, I think you should try it or
Dude,
go
okay,
for it.
but
You know what I mean?
here's the thing. Here's the thing. And
Yeah.
let's go back to what we just said. We live in a society that wants us to do things a certain way. And when we
Agreed.
do something that's crazy,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, think about it.
Right.
When we talk about talking to ourselves. Like, we talk about
Yeah.
addressing ourselves in the future, which I've got a clip
So
for you that I want to play for you.
okay.
But like, like, to stay on this topic for a second, it feels crazy because you don't know what it is. It's like
Yeah.
when I tell you that this phone can take really cool cinematic footage and you can go back in and then change how it focus pulls. You probably don't, like, you or someone else maybe doesn't even know what that means. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. And dude, all I can say is from my own experience, it's not even woo-woo shit. Like, I get hypnotherapy is how our brains naturally work.
Yeah.
Like, I will explain it just a little bit further and we can get into it if you want to. But like,
Okay.
I told her, I think that something happened to me when I was a kid that is causing my night terrors. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
She asked some good questions. She's like, about what age do you think that this is? And my intuitive response has been 7 or 8. So she's like, great. She takes in all this information to account. she puts me into this meditation thing, this hypnosis, which again, by the way, you're in hypnosis when you drive, when you watch a movie, when you read a book, when you're writing something down.
Huh.
You're in a trance state. We don't know that. We're not told that.
Yeah.
We access it all the time. When you're under, you're still fully conscious. It's just you're not
Interesting.
using your body in the same way. So,
Yeah.
dude, I had a scene, like a visualization, where I saw my 7-year-old little self, and he came, like, did a cartwheel in front of me or whatever, and I was talking to him, and we were just having a good
That's
time. I
about
gave him
right.
a magnifying glass. Like, she was guiding me as to how to interact with him. And then, dude, I was like, "Is everything all right?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I don't know." I'm like, can you show me what's wrong?" He's like, "Not here." I'm like, "Okay." So we went somewhere. We went to a car. It was my old van growing up.
Yeah.
We went into the van. And then, as it turns out, bro, I, as a little kid, we had this game when I was growing up called the Quiet Game. And
Okay.
like, fair enough. Sometimes kids are annoying. Sometimes it's just nice to have some quiet and play some music
Yeah.
in the car. But that was the game that we would play. And apparently when I was a kid, I didn't like it very much because I
Okay.
really wanted to say something or express something. And if I did during this game, which, you know me, bro, this makes sense. This
Oh
checks
yeah,
out.
100%.
My dad or someone would be like they would not respond, or they would like get upset. And then like it continued, like the scene changed. And it was like,
Wow.
dude, wait. I was like in my bed at night, like sometimes hearing my parents yelling at each other. And again, that's not an uncommon experience. Like
Yeah.
parents with kids, young kids, they're
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. There's
Disagreements.
no
Yeah.
blame, no shade.
Right.
I just, as a little child, didn't understand that. So
Okay.
I couldn't process it. And then it got stuck in my psyche, dude. I am
Wow.
almost certain, like, I need to give it time, but I'm
Yeah.
almost certain that what was going on was I simply just didn't understand my experience, and it got deep enough,
That it was.
and that's that. But dude,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity
Jeez.
in this thing just to imagine with my own brain. I had
Right.
the opportunity to resolve it, like just by imagining. That's
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's
that's it.
crazy.
It does, again, it sounds crazy, but when
Yeah.
you have someone who's guiding you and who believes in you and expresses that by
Yeah.
saying, like, "You can do this. Like, you can talk to this version of yourself. You can access this."
Right.
It's that external validation thing coming into
Yeah.
play, and
Huh.
it's allowing us to believe it, even just for a little bit. And
It's
that's the magic, bro. That's the magic
yeah.
of the mind.
Yeah, it's totally believable though, because I think we had mentioned this a while back. I think you and I got
Mhm,
into a long conversation about this, just but about imagination and how, like, when we
mhm.
get older, we lose those things. But we're also taught not to have imaginations, not to think differently, not to think outside the box. So those become the thoughts that aren't inside the box. Those become the crazy thoughts. Those becomes like,
Yes.
hey, don't talk to yourself, or like you shouldn't do hypnosis, like that's not okay, or you don't want to be unconscious at any point in time. Like sometimes it is healthy to be unconscious, like, you know.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
just, I mean, it makes total sense. It does. It really
Dude,
does.
yeah, and you know what's crazy? To be unconscious is a good way of putting it. Like,
Yeah.
not only did she, walk me through the questions and understanding me, but she also specifically pointed out exactly what was gonna happen. And,
Wow.
dude, I've, like, researched this. So,
Yeah.
like, I was also there kind of freaking out because I'm like, "This is sick, dude. I've seen videos of people doing this." Like,
Yeah.
Andrew Huberman has a very popular podcast episode in which he gets hypnotized, and he is one of the world's leading neuroscientists in
Wow.
in, like, society. So it's becoming more of a thing. Anyway, she tells me, "Look, you have certain parts of your brain here. There's the conscious mind, which you're accustomed to. It's what you use every day. It's what you're using now. There's the critical mind, which is the judgment filter that says that's dumb, this is not. And then
Okay.
there's the unconscious. And that the conscious mind's here. The unconscious is like almost double in size. Like, it's way
Wow.
larger because it's where you store everything,
Of
all of your
course.
life experiences.
Yeah. It makes
And
sense.
and then beyond that, there's the primitive mind, which is like the deep, like, caveman brain, basically, like
Yeah.
early human. And anyway, like, when you allow yourself to be unconscious, what you're doing is you're just taking away the critical mind and you're bridging the conscious and the unconscious together, and you're
Makes sense.
allowing it to play out. And when you do, dude, that's it. It's just communication between the various parts of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think I've been questioning. I mean, first of all, I left that thing with like so much peace and
Okay.
warmth. Like, it was insane, the effect.
Yeah.
Um, but what I'm interested in, what I want to know from you is like, dude, what is it that makes this insane? Who said that? Who said that it's crazy to believe that you can change your own experience simply by
I
going to a more unconscious state? Who said that?
Yeah, I think the world needs people who are like more unconscious in the sense that they operate more on like a time schedule, rotation, clock in, clock out type of vibe. I think
Yeah.
our society that we've created only operates if we have more people that believe in this system than don't, because
Mhm.
otherwise it just falls apart. Could you imagine a bunch of people driving on a bus wanting to go in different directions and different like do you see what I'm saying? Not
I
wanting
mean,
to stop and get off at the bus stop, 2 miles up the street. Could you imagine what that looked? Everybody would be trying to drive and the bus would inevitably crash because nobody would be steering the fucking thing. Do you know what I'm
because
saying?
they were unconscious. Is that what you
Because
mean?
they were because they are unconscious and so that's like their conscious mind waking up and saying, okay, this is really what I want to do. Like, I do want to be unconscious today. I'm going to make a choice to do that.
Mhm.
Instead, what we choose to do every day, the majority of our population, is get on that bus, we get off at our stop, we say goodbye to the same person we see every day, 5 days a week on that bus, we get to work, and then we're unconscious all day. That's not the type of unconscious that we're talking about, people.
No.
It's just
No.
not.
No, no,
That's
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like,
yeah,
in other cultures that this is completely different. Like,
yeah.
dude, I left this and she like the hypnotherapist that I met randomly at a coffee shop, by the way. Like, this was one of those
Holy
things
crap.
where like I just
Yeah.
ran into her like a month ago. And this is how I connected with her. But anyway, she suggested that I listen to a book or specifically listen to this book, an audiobook called My Voice Will Be With You Wherever You Go. And
Okay.
it's this guy. His last name is Erickson. I forget his first name, but he was a famous hypnotherapist
Mm.
because, dude, like he the way that he talked to people was so simple, but he would like put people in a trance just by talking. Like, and
Wow.
they didn't know because it's a part of our makeup. Like, again, like you said it, you get on the bus, you go to work, you're sitting in the front of the computer or whatever, you're in a trance, most likely. Like,
Yep.
at least at some point during that day, because you're checking out and therefore you're just letting it process. You're doing automatic things and tasks and not really critically thinking and
Yeah.
also not being imaginative. So like that that level of unconsciousness, I think, here's my hot take, dude. That level of unconsciousness in which you don't have creative capacity
Right.
is better for the people who are empowered. It's better for the people who have the
Oh, yeah.
resources
Yeah.
because they don't have to concern themselves with creative people. Like, they don't have to concern themselves with change.
Yes.
Basically, it's like easier for them to maintain their shit. But like,
Dude,
here's the thing: it's not. That's not how society and
no.
reality actually functions. It's not sustainable. You
I
know?
agree 100%. And it just reminds me, like, people who are successful, like if we talk about people who are like rich and famous, right? What do we see them doing all day? First of all, a lot of them stay out of the media. If you do
Hmm.
see them, if they can at least, you do see them, they're going to a meditation class, probably called
Yeah.
yoga or Pilates. It's like they figured the shit out because they have more time to do the thing that gives them the more satisfaction, puts them at
Yeah.
ease, puts them in
Yeah.
like a relaxed state so they can kind of meditate and focus on the things that they really want to concentrate on. Money
Hmm.
doesn't, like, I don't think it makes you a different person. I think it enhances the person that you already are, right?
I think you're
So the
right.
people who are spending the time and money in health and fitness and learning, more about themselves and how to concentrate and meditate in that space are the people who wanted that in the first place but didn't have the means or resources to be able to do it. So I think
Yeah.
this, like, it's badass, dude, that you're on this journey. I think it's awesome.
Dude, thanks. And you know what? You just reminded me. I saw a montage of some people um, who are famous, who are rich
Yeah,
or whatever. And
yeah.
you know what the montage was centered on? It was like
That
Will Smith. It was like the guy from YouTube. What's his name? Mr. Beast. Mr.
okay.
Beast, Will Smith. A
Yeah,
number of
yeah.
people were in this clip. And you know what they were saying? Be
That
delusional. You have to be delusional. And bro, on first view, that
yes.
sounds ridiculous because we're told that that's ridiculous. But the point is that everything that we do is sourced from our imagination. You see this thing
Mhm.
right here? You see this
Yeah.
microphone? This is a part of the clip. The guy's like, this microphone did not exist before somebody was just sitting in a chair or in bed and was just like,
Yep.
I think there should be something that I can talk into and it amplifies my voice.
Yep.
And then everyone's like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make sense. And like, he's like, it makes sense to me. So like,
Yeah.
I'm going to delude myself for a period of time because that's the confidence and that's the resource that's required in order to bring
Okay.
something into existence.
Yep.
And so, like, bro, that's what I'm doing with my shit now. After this hypnotherapy, I was like, yo, I have the power in the therapy session. She was like, this like witness the power of your mind. Because dude, I was laying down and my face was making emotional response without my choice. Like
That's
I was
wild.
smiling and I was crying, and like all these things were happening, and it was like I was watching it happen.
Wow.
And like that's the thing, dude. Our
Yeah.
imaginations are the key to our active participation in
Yep.
our lives. And we do
Agreed.
not need to believe this idea that it's delusional to imagine something in our life. Because,
Yeah.
bro, I'm a big believer that the things that we imagine are the things that are perfect for us. Why would we want anything unless it's perfectly suited for us?
I agree.
Think about that. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to consider that, I'm not over here saying like, I really want to be an underwater basket weaver and I'm going to
Yeah.
delude myself into thinking that's a good idea, because there's nothing in my life that dictates that I would want that. However, being a creative director who's making a certain salary and who has a certain way of being and lifestyle and,
Yeah.
and has a certain grouping of people around me, that's not that delusional. Okay.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, before that actually occurs in my experience, I'm going to imagine that it is going to happen. And
Yeah.
I'm going to imagine that right now, I'm already that person. Like there's another clip, so many clips, I should just bring them with me. It's
Yeah.
a Gary Vaynerchuk clip. And this girl's like, Gary, oh my God, it's so great to meet you. Oh, this is amazing. And like, like I really loved what you said. And one day when I'm somebody, I'm gonna, and he's like, stop. And he says her name. He's like, I think, I forget her name. He says her name and he's like, you are somebody right now. And she's just like Gary Vaynerchuk just validated me. And he's like,
Yeah.
listen, I was not a somebody at
Yeah.
some point, and I just didn't believe that. That's it. I just believed that I was
That
Gary
was the
Vaynerchuk.
difference. Yeah.
And then the world wraps around you, dude. So it's like, I want to test this shit out. You
Hey,
know what I
man.
mean?
Yes,
So like,
you're the
okay, Mike.
first person to start believing in yourself. That's just the way it goes.
Okay, so Mike, I want to know. You've heard my shit. We've been talking a lot about my shit.
Yeah.
What's going on for you? Like, what is
I
the
just
thing for you that
right
like you're
now,
deluding yourself about?
one of the things that I can't get out of my head is an underwater basket weaver. I don't know why I'm thinking that would be the most fluid basket
That's
weaver you've ever seen.
because I hypnotized you, bro.
I'm
Oh,
all
shut up,
about
bro.
it.
Shut up. No, give me a straight response. Come on. Come on. I know there's gotta be something, okay? Like,
Uh,
unless you're truly like,
I'm not.
you're in your moment. You're like,
No,
this is
I'm
it. This
not.
is the thing.
I'm not.
Okay, what is it then?
I know I haven't hit my moment yet, but because I don't like this isn't a space where I thrive in. It is something that I
Mm,
do that I am good at because I focus my attention on that task, right?
yeah.
There's this thing that I've been reading about multitasking, like that it isn't actually a thing that humans can obtain. It was designed like the actual phrase after a computer from the like when we first got computers, like in the 70s and early 80s, that was
No
like, oh,
kidding.
this computer has a database that can multitask. It was directly related to a computer, not to humans. It was never
Of
meant to be
course.
applied.
Of
We do
course that
one
yeah.
thing well. That's it.
Yeah, it's like I've heard that we're doing a task, and then if we
Yeah.
think we're doing a multitask, we're actually just
Yes.
switching to another task really fast. That
Yes,
we're not
that's
doing
exactly what
anything.
happens. Right. And then what they said too, when you're finishing up an email, like if you're typing on the computer, because this is how people type, like type, 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 right? If you're typing on the computer, in order to finish that task, you have to devote 100% of your attention or focus
Uh-huh.
for those last two sentences, two phrases, or two words. And if you're like people I know, they spend a lot of time on those last two words. Best regards, see you soon, talk, let's chat, too
Yeah, I've
much
been there.
time on that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm at right now is I know that I'm not in the place that I am meant to be per se, right?
Mm.
Like this doesn't feel like a natural progression to me. They say when you do feel like when you finally get to the place where you're meant to be, it will feel warm and it will feel comfortable and it'll just feel like home. I've not yet
Yeah.
reached that. So I'm
Okay.
continuously searching for that.
Okay. You're searching. Okay. This is
Yeah.
something interesting. I sent a message to my friend who
Mhm.
has served in multiple creative director roles.
Okay.
Actually, she reached out to me randomly, and like we just continued the conversation. And
Okay.
I asked her for some advice. And this morning, she sent me like a whole podcast worth of audio messages, which
Okay.
I thought was fantastic. And in one of them, she said something along the lines of like, she was working with a mentor, and he was helping her understand how to set her personal life mission statement. And
Okay.
like to her, she said she felt like she discovered it instead of like making it. Like
Uh,
it to her, it was like she realized it. It wasn't like she had to like sit there and try to understand
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And like the same thing's popping up in this book I'm reading by this popular writer. The book's called "A Swim in the Pond in a Pond in the Rain" or something. It's
Okay,
about writing, and
okay.
like, dude, this writer, he's like world renowned. He's a professor at like Berkeley or something, and he is talking about writing. And to me, it's like life, dude. He's like, you write the first draft so that you can revise it. Like the
Mm,
first draft of whatever you're doing. That's
yeah.
not the writing. The writing is when you're using your intuition to revise it. So like
Ah,
that's how I
okay.
see my life now. And that's how I
Mm,
see what you're saying now. Is that you're
yeah.
saying like, okay, this needs to be revised. So
Yes.
like I'm curious, like how do you imagine the revisions? Like what does that entail in your experience? Like what changes? What does your world look like?
I think this is the part where I'm trying to figure out, and I think a lot of people will be able to
Mm,
identify with this, like the listeners. You
yeah.
have to balance how you are able to move in this world and operate and have a sustained way of life while also being able to balance the things that you really want out of life. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? So that's
Yeah.
that is essentially what I'm trying to do. Like I am devoting so much time to this thing, my job, that is not necessarily where I'm supposed to be, while
Mhm.
also trying to figure out what the hell I want the next steps
Mm.
to be for my life to be meaningful in my sense of the term, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So this is what I'm hearing. Let me know if
Yeah.
I'm off
Yeah.
base. It's like if we're calling it a discovery,
Yeah.
self-discovery,
Hmm.
like what you're doing is you're actively looking at your position saying like I got to move from this position
Yes.
and I got to take steps. So every day
Yes.
you're like I got to take steps, but I also got to keep one foot in here to
Yes.
sustain my motion, like to get my
Right.
resource. And you're on the Oregon Trail, you got to have some food. So like
Exactly.
you keep moving. But here's the question: what's
Yeah.
the gold rush? Like that's my question. Like I'm curious if it's possible to get there if you don't have a clear understanding of what it is. So
Yeah.
like how
Mm.
do you find that part? Like how do you find the location that you're going towards
We
or
I
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I do. I think we like I think we have to put ourselves in situations where we are uncomfortable. I
Mm,
swear because I like uncomfortable and unfamiliar to me, like unfamiliarity or whatever is like
yeah.
it's one and the same to me. It's like in the same vein. It's like
Yeah.
people really only stumble upon something that they're good at or that they love by putting
Mm.
themselves in a different situation in which they're not familiar with. Or else, how will you get there? So for me, I know I need to start taking off my shoes because I don't want them to get messed up, but jumping off the fucking ledge and trying to figure
Yeah.
this thing out, dude. I'm serious.
So I'm harping on it. I'm harping on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Let's
What is
go.
what does jumping off the ledge look like? Like
All right.
what are you jumping at?
So
Like because okay, so just directly to the point, like
yeah,
what we're doing right here, like you said it last couple of conversations that like this shit is fun for you, like
yeah,
you
yeah.
enjoy this, and ideally you're getting money for doing this
Right.
on a consistent basis, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if that's the case, then like imagine that as the starting point. Like
Hmm.
let's say it's one. This is another thing from this book. I this morning I read this. It was like I forget the exact phrase, man. I should go get the book. But basically, it was like you don't get an idea from a story that's in your mind. You can get an idea from a sentence. One singular sentence can start off your intuitive
Yes,
muscle, and you can start to build it.
I
So
agree.
if the sentence in this case is like doing this, helping other people, or like
Yeah.
offering that in the marketplace or whatever the hell, like
Yeah.
how do you continue the sentence? And like to me, that's the discovery. And like,
Right.
of course, I'm not trying to put you on the spot and be like, answer it
Yeah.
right now. But
Yeah.
like that's my curiosity. Like when it comes to what you're doing, is like I'm so curious about how the sentences start to flow and like
Right.
where that goes. I mean, like what's uncomfortable on
Mm.
that path? Like
Yeah.
how do you jump into that, dude?
Yeah, yeah. I think for most people, it is and this is why I think we're talking about just being uncomfortable because for a lot of people, uncertainty is uncomfortable. And
Mm,
but we know also this term has been said billions, probably zillion, like a lot trillions of times, is that no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
Like, so that is actually like literally a thing. I think I was watching a post the other day where, famous songwriter, rapper, producer Rick Ross was
Yeah.
asked by an inspiring like artist, producer, that like, how do you operate when you feel like when it's he was like, when it's cold and like it doesn't seem
Mm.
like anything is happening. And Rick
Okay.
Ross's response was like, you got to be comfortable in the cold. He was like,
Mm.
because that's where you're going to get growth. And I was like, dude, it's such a simple metaphor, but it
It is.
makes so much sense,
It does, dude. It does. Man. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So what you're reminding me of is let's just jump right into this because
Yeah,
like part of the reason why we started doing this, all of
yeah,
this was because I showed up here at your house one time and was like, hey, dude, I had this weird idea of calling random strangers and
yeah,
like asking them the same questions or asking them questions and connecting with them and seeing what happens. And that's uncomfortable. Like people get spam called all the time. No one's going to pick
yeah.
up. You could get rejected over and over again. And then that, snowballed into our earlier episodes of when I was still on the East Coast, like interacting with people in person,
Mhm.
which again, to many people in the world, interacting with a stranger is very uncomfy. It's a
Yeah,
cold zone. It's like, I'm not, no, stranger, the word stranger, we've talked about it so much. It's
yeah,
like, well, that's strange. I'm not going to do it. And so to me, like, as we've been doing this, I've realized like as much as I'm a sociable person, doing that, like going up to someone with my own purposes,
yeah,
like that was uncomfortable. Doing it with you was fun. And it made me realize like, oh shit, this is like powerful. We can
yeah,
connect with some people. Like we
yeah,
had some
definitely.
earlier conversations, bro. Like the sisters, the group of people in DC, like people in New York, like we had all
Insane.
kinds of good conversations.
Yeah,
So anyway, so this weekend, I sent you a video and was like, hey, bro, I'm going to Wendover. I'm just taking a drive with Rye
yeah,
and we're going to go explore. I'm going to go to the Salt Flats and I'm going with the intention that I'm going to run into somebody and
hmm,
I'm going to be uncomfortable because to me, doing it by myself, standing there with a camera on a tripod thingy is kind of weird. When it's
yeah,
two people, it's easier, but when it's one, not so
yeah,
much. So I asked you like, bro, I'm going to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but what should I ask? And
yeah.
you asked me, what did you ask me to ask them?
I asked you, we want to know what was your goal last year, your New Year's resolution that you did not meet? Not this one's, because we don't care about this year's. We want to know about last year. Why didn't it happen? And what was the reason? And what are you going to do about it? Essentially, in short.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, that was the question. And I walked up to these two people, and here's the trick. Like, if we're gonna give any advice as far as how to interact with
Yeah,
strangers, because I feel like we have some credibility here,
yeah,
the advice is simple: offer to take a picture for somebody. Like simply, you see people taking pictures at a landmark. It's so easy. Go to a city, a town, anywhere that has something that people take pictures in front of. And inevitably you'll run into packs of people who want a photo together. And it's
absolutely.
always an opening. No, most people, in my experience, are not going to say, no,
No.
don't touch my camera, back off. They're gonna be, oh yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah.
So what I did was I did that. I walked up to two people, these two women who were taking pictures after I
Okay.
hung out and took pictures and was
Okay.
like, oh, okay, let me see if they want a picture. You guys want a picture? Yeah, sure, thanks. Took a picture, did my little pano picture. So they got a picture of me in this, which is really stupid, but it like opened up the thing and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. So I have this podcast with my friend and like we ask people questions. We kind of try and challenge each other, like interact with strangers or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And like, cause I didn't even say all the philosophy behind it. I was just like, would you guys be interested in answering a question about resolutions? And they're like, sure, yeah, whatever. So I just sent you the thing on Telegram.
Okay.
If you want, you can listen to it, and like I got a response for you. So
Okay.
like,
All
check
right.
it out. But as
All
you're
right. Okay.
as Mike's pulling this up, let me just clarify. I was by myself, and this was the first time that I've really done this. Like I did it a few times when I moved out to Utah, but this was the first time that I did it for the podcast. And like it was fine, dude. It was fun. Like people like to connect. So anyway, you play it, we'll play it, and
Okay.
then I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so as I'm setting this up, he told me he's like super against resolutions. Like he thinks that resolutions are kind of dumb. So the question is, what resolutions did you set, if you set any, last year that you didn't fulfill? That like maybe you'd like.
What if I don't do resolutions?
If you don't do resolutions, then
Say
like,
that?
well, like, is there something that you were trying to do last year that like it was like a goal that you didn't accomplish, or like something that you were like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then it like just didn't. It actually didn't mean that much to you in the grand scheme of things. And if you also don't like resolutions, that's okay too.
Yeah, I don't really do resolutions. I mean, I have general things that I want to improve, but then they're not like set by the date. You know? So they're more like, hey, these are things that I need to do going forward. And I feel like through the year, just kind of take steps towards that.
Yeah.
That's how I think about them. I don't really do it. So it's like, definitively needs to be like 2023.
It's like so much pressure, right? Like that's his point. We were talking about it like at the beginning of the new year, and he's like, I hate it. Like I hate how there's so much pressure on ourselves to like actually make it happen. So was there something with that mindset that actually like you did achieve last year? If you're looking at the year proper as like a measuring point, like something that you look back on, and you're like, yeah, I actually did make it happen. Yeah? Yeah? What would you say?
It's like a personal goal, I guess, to like be less, I guess, obsessive about what happens in the past kind of thing. Like it's something you can't change, you know? So I feel like mentally I did make improvements to like doing that less.
Nice.
So
that's like a cool meta one. Like we're here talking about like the past, and you're like, I mean, honestly, it doesn't affect me as much.
Change it, you know, like you can't like be. I'm a little obsessive sometimes, so that's just general like personality trait that I'm trying to kind of get rid of. So
right on. Yeah. Oh, good for you. Yeah. I feel like I've had to do something very similar, where like we talk a lot about it, where we're like, the moment is what we got, and like we can set up systems and like desires to like go after, but like trying to think constantly and like judge yourself about what you've done or haven't done is like kind of heavy shit. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like you can't do anything about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like you can change what already happened. So
exactly.
But I do think some people make resolutions like it's a good measuring stick, right? Like people are like, at least I know that this is when I started, you know. And so like, okay, once you get to April, you know at least you started January 1st, right? So like that's where people put the pressure. But if you always make mental notes of like making changes, it doesn't have to be at the new year. And that's why people put that pressure on, just like because it's that definitive day. But I do understand that like this is where I want to turn around, and I'll know how much progress I made because I'll know when I started. You know?
I did do this cool thing last year though, like at the beginning of the year I wrote a letter to myself from the end of the year. You know, I don't remember where I picked that up. Did we talk about this? No.
Like a letter to your future self?
Hey, Mela, like this is what happened this year.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, kind of thing. And I mean, I think that was part of the thing. It's like, hey, you know, so it does help, like to envision yourself in that place. And then,
it's so cool that you say that. It's so cool you say that, because like this past year and the year, a little bit before like that year, I started doing this thing where I was like recording audio letters to myself. I have like a whole series on this like journal app, and it's like letters to my future self, and I pretend that I'm literally trying to empathize with myself in the future. And it's crazy because like some of the things that I don't listen to them. Like I set them and I have not listened to a single one yet, because it's kind of like my own personal like time capsule. And in that way, like I kind of put it out there. I'm like, hey, future Mike, like I assume Rye's still around, and if he is, say what's up to him. And if not, I'm sorry, man. Like I know how important he was to you. And like one day, I'll probably be attracted to the title of that one. And like my guess is that maybe it's when he's gone, and I'll need to hear it. You know what I'm saying? But like in the moment, it actually helps me to be more grateful for him.
And you're expressing it. That's like better than journaling. To be honest.
It's kind of nice, because it's like, okay, I gotta be imaginative about me in the future rather than me like focusing on me in the past and like what I gotta dredge up and change. So I think it's a really good tool. That's sick that you do that.
I do like that too.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. What are your guys' names?
I'm Mela.
I'm
Kim.
I'm Mike.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
Yeah, and this is Rye. And if you could just say hi, my friend's name is Mike also.
Hi, Mike.
And we have the podcast is called the notKnown podcast, and we just talk about things that we don't know, or we talk to people we don't know about things that are like kind of human stuff. So this has been really cool, and
nice.
I appreciate it.
I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys want, I have like a QR code. Dude, that's it.
Yo, that was so sick.
Bro, better than journaling, bro. Better than journaling. Hot
100%.
take right here. Hot take.
Yeah.
Recording letters to your future self, either writing or speaking it, is better than journaling. Ask
100%.
that person.
Yeah,
Dude.
I agree. 100%.
Okay, so here's my question. Like, you hear that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, is a letter to yourself not an imaginative, delusional act?
100%. I mean, you have to employ a lot of assumptions in order to actually do the act, because you're assuming that you're going to be here or be around for you to get the message. Like,
dude, at the very least, you're assuming you're going to still be alive. Like, at the most, you're assuming that you are fitting a feeling. You're fitting a state that you want now.
100%.
Dude.
So it's beautiful. That's so dope. And I loved what she said about just, again, being more present in the moment and reminding yourself you have two people out there in not known world. You have to let go of the past.
Yeah.
It does not define the person that you currently are and that you will be. You have to let it go.
And you know what's crazy? Not only do you have to really discover yourself, you can. Like, all the weight that you feel that is your past, you can let that go. It's a choice. Like, as easy as that sounds to say, and as easy as it seems, like, oh, it's easier said than done. Well, I'm going to call bullshit because I've done it. Okay. Like, I spent my time. Go back and look at prior episodes of this thing that we're doing here. Like, go ask Mike a question on social media. Say, like, how deranged and neurotic was Mike Marrotte like 2 years ago? I was in my shit. I could not figure out how to drop the weight that I had just shackled to me. And the key was my imagination, bro. It was my imagination.
It's so crazy.
That's it.
I think in 2024, if you want a New Year's resolution, okay, Mike, here we go.
He's going to make one. He's going to make a
resolution in 2024. The word for you is grace.
Yes.
Give it to yourself. Allow yourself to have it and move the fuck on. So this is Mike.
And this is also Mike. And this has been the Not Known podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.
I'm so stoned.